Speaking of getting tired of people, apparently from what we are hearing, now I don't know of the veracity of this report. I don't know the details. I was not there on scene to witness this, but apparently the story is going around that Tony Khan has taken creative control away from the erstwhile executive vice presidents of AEW, namely the Hardley Boys, Kenny Olivier, and my old ex-friend Cody Rhodes. We'll get to that in a minute. But apparently, this is the report, right? He's taken creative control away from. They still have input, but he's the final decision maker. What was it before? What was he doing? Was it, hey, Cody, you're in segment 5. Let me know what you're going to do. Was that it?
No, and I think part of the issue is that people assume a lot of things, and they always have. Tony has always been the booker. He has always been the final say. Maybe he gave some people some extra leeway, but at the end of the day, Tony's the one who signs off on every single thing. So for people who think that when I say things like EVPs come and go, that it's crazy, look at the big picture. There's one owner, and there's one booker, and he loves people knowing that he's the booker. People pitch ideas.
Loves it.
Executive vice presidents pitch ideas, but so does every single other person on that roster. So, as I said, executive vice presidents come and go.
Well, yeah. You could go ahead and crow a little bit. Do you have the crows there? We got to find the crows instead of corny crowing. Now it's last crowing.
I believe it's a rooster, actually, but yeah.
There's a rooster, a crow, whatever. The rooster crows. What does the crow do? Rooster?
Roots.
Or cock? But we're not talking about them now. That's a streaming service. We'll talk about them later. But you said EVPs come and go, and you know it's going to be interesting when they have outlived their semi-usefulness.
The interesting thing is going to be in a few years, and I don't know when it'll be. It'll happen when the real story of AEW comes out, and a lot of the things we've said on the show that people thought we were being flippant, they'll realize, oh, wow, there was a basis in truth in all of this. And I think when people find out about the realities of the EVPs and their duties, and I think when people find out about the relationship, I mean, the Cody relationship with everyone else, everyone knows what's up with that now, but there's going to be a great book one day. And when that book comes out, everything will be the same as it is today, and that Tony Khan will be the boss and making all the decisions.
Yes, because the one thing that we've pretty much established is that as long as that company exists, whether it's 4 years, 40 years, whatever the case, Tony Khan is apparently going to insist on being the booker. And the final word on he's now, because if after that controversy with Castor Oil a few weeks ago, if he's approving the raps that the Acclaimed do on the way to the ring, then he's pretty much micromanaging to an extent that I don't know that Vince McMahon ever did. Now, I'm not saying that all that management is perceptive or good. I'm just saying he's going down to the granular detail at this point. And one would have to think that what did we determine his age was? Nearing 40, Tony Khan, the other day on the program. We figured out all these ages.
38.
Jeez. Okay, isn't that a lot on his? I mean, that's a lot of things to do. He's supposedly an executive with the football team. He's supposedly an executive with this and that. Now he's doing the wrestling thing from start to finish, from scratch, blah, blah, blah. Does he sleep?
No.
Well, sooner or later, you're going to have to, one way or the other, even if it's in a hospital bed. When you take on too much responsibility. But again, I don't know, but one would have to think is the sudden trend toward actually putting stars out there to just do what stars do and not overcomplicating everything. Has that been a byproduct of taking away any of this creative control? Or is it just blind luck because those people came along to do their own segments, the CM Punks, the Bryan Danielsons, etc. And because we still see, and we're going to talk about this past week's Dynamite here in a second, one segment looks like it could be on Monday Night Raw when 10 million people were watching it, and the next segment looks like it's on cable access with the folks in Sellersburg, Indiana watching it, or it should be. So I'm not sure yet if if Tony has taken the creative control away from his EVPs, then what has changed? Because the only matches, the flavor of them that I see changing are the matches involving the guys like Punk and Danielson and etc. that would know better than to do foolish shit to begin with. So where have we, what ground are we gaining here with this relieving the EVPs of their authority in some cases?
Well, the question becomes, how much authority did they even really have in the first place? Because you could still see the influence of different EVPs on different things. The Young Bucks influence on Young Bucks segments is apparent because a lot of it comes from that stupid YouTube show. So, I mean, you can't say they have no influence. Cody, we'll talk more about Cody in a bit. Omega, a lot of it, I think, has been the women's division. And according to what we've been hearing, it's, from their camp at least, it's going to be more with the video game division, which, hey, you know what? That's his passion.
Good.
Go for it. Have a good time.
The one way that I will never have to interact with Kenny Olivier is if he's in charge of video games, because I don't play them.
But the question is, beyond any outside duties from wrestling, like I know one of the Young Bucks, his wife runs merchandise. So beyond like little things like that, do the Young Bucks or Cody have any more sway with Tony Khan when they're pitching ideas to him than a Christian or a Punk or an MJF or an FTR or anyone else? I mean, that's the question. And we'll certainly be finding out in the weeks ahead.